The interior force Ohio State's been looking for might have just hit the portal.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox, no console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. During today's show, we'll discuss the high-praised multiple NFL executives throughout Ohio State, as well as one concern I have with Ohio State's D-line. But first, Ryan Day has made it very, very clear. He is focused on adding beef on both the offensive and defensive lines when the portal is open. He did it in the winter. He's doing it right now in the spring. And I don't believe he is done trying to add beefy guys to the Buckeyes roster. And there was recently a young man that entered the portal that formerly played at Oklahoma State that would allow Ohio State to be more multiple on defense. His name is Justin Kirkland, sitting at 6'3", 345 pounds. He is a traditional nose tackle that would help Ohio State be more multiple on defense and would help C.J. Hicks transition to playing on the edge. And that's something that I don't want to get glossed over. We're looking at a man that's almost 350 pounds. He is not the traditional defensive tackle that you have at Ohio State. So while Ohio State traditionally runs a 4-2-5, there is a scenario where Ohio State is moving towards going to a three-down front more often than not. Now, it would take more shifting the philosophy for the high school recruiting ranks before saying that's going to be what is going to happen all the time. But you want to have guys that are 330 and 340 pounds on your roster that can play either nose tackle at a three-down front or play a one-tech in a four-down front to get the job done. Because I do believe there is a benefit. And even, I don't think you're going to put a 350-pound guy at a three-tech, but if he can do it, why not try it? Try to be as multiple and versatile as you can because it's going to throw off the opposing offense. And Ohio State's defense right now has a lot of great guys on it. But what is the one thing we talk about? We're going to talk about it later on in the show. The everydayers I've heard the word inexperience a lot this offseason when talking about the defense. And it's not something I'm thinking is going to be a knock at every position. It's just the reality that the Buckeyes are very, very inexperienced over there. So you bring in a guy like Kirkland, who first played at, I believe it was Utah Tech in 2022, and then transferred to Oklahoma State in the 2023 and 2024 seasons, played a lot of ball, did a lot of good things there. He is someone that I do believe would be a great asset. Now, I do also see a scenario where he may want to go to a place that is more your traditional 3-4 or 3-3-5 type of defensive front. That's a consistent thing for them instead of going to a school that just won the national championship but doesn't run the type of defensive front that suits him the best, where he wants to play more often. I would understand that. But there's not really a better place in the country to go to get developed as a defensive lineman than Ohio State. I mean, think about what it meant for Ohio State to have 4 defensive linemen get drafted. And I would say that before the season even started. Before the 2024 season, I was on record saying that Ohio State would have 4 D linemen drafted in the 2025 draft. Twimaloau, Sawyer, Williams, and Hamilton, not in that order, but all 4 got drafted, heard the names called in the National Football League draft. That's a great recruiting tool. Not just for high school guys, but for guys in the portal. Because what is one thing that every player plays for? To try to have an opportunity to be a professional football player in the NFL. Yeah, you may want to play in the CFL, or you may want to say, I'm going to try out in the Spring Football League, the UFL, whatever it may be. But you want to have a shot to play at the top level in the sport. And where Larry Johnson has had a great track record of success of developing guys, first recruiting guys, creating relationships, but then getting guys on campus, developing them. Also, Mickey Mariotti and the strength and conditioning program, what's a great benefit for that? C.J. Donaldson. Where Donaldson came in, he was quickly bought in, immediately bought into everything that they have going on in the strength and conditioning and nutrition programs at Ohio State. Homie shed 18 pounds. And I believe that came out, he mentioned that at the beginning of spring ball. It wouldn't shock me if he's lost 20 plus. It's going to help his joints. It's going to help him move quicker. He's going to be light on his feet. I mean, there's so many benefits to the young man shedding 20 lbs before playing in the fall. Now, if I'm Justin Kirkland, I'm not trying to lose 20 lbs. I'm trying to keep my 6'3", 340-pound frame. But if I keep that and I'm stronger, I have a stronger core, my mobility is better. If there are things I can do at my size, like going to Ohio State that has the elite of the elite with whatever you want, that would be great. Now, he's a Utah kid. And it's been out there. People have been tweeting it out. And I kind of understand the thought that Kirkland might be someone that would be interested in going to Utah or BYU. I wouldn't knock that if that was where he wanted to go. It's the home. You're from that state. Those schools are there. They have respected football programs, great fan bases. You're not far from home. I mean, there's so many benefits there for that. But let's just say he's thinking about going there, but he wants to go to a place that can help him get to the next level as quickly as possible. It's Ohio State, man. That's Ohio State. What, they have eight defensive players drafted this year? That is Ohio State. The Buckeyes are the place that if I am in the portal, I want to be. But I want to remind everybody about something that Ryan Day said that is true. And I think he mentioned it a year ago during an interview with Josh Pate. That was the one time that stuck in my head, but I'm not saying that's the first time he said it. That Ohio State isn't for everybody. And that's not a knock. You can be a great football player, but not be right for Ohio State because it takes a different mindset, takes a different approach. You prepare different. Your lifestyle is different. Jason Witten is going on recruiting visits with his son, who is a highly sought-after recruit right now that has been at the biggest of schools around the country. And Jason Witten came to Ohio State and made comments about how Ohio State was different in a big way. Not a bad way, but in the best way. Now, Jason Witten is saying that, longtime NFL player for the Cowboys, had a cup of coffee calling games. I thought it was getting better before they ended up kicking him out the booth. If he is saying that, that says a lot about what Ryan Day has built at Ohio State, the culture he has created and sustained while he's been there in Columbus. And I think for Kirkland, he's going to have to realize, do I want to win? Yes. I want to get developed in a quick manner to go to the next level? Yes. Then what is the best place for me? Ohio State. Now, that's the best place for those things. What type of defense does he want to go into? If he wants to stick with be a traditional nose tackle and a 3-4 or a 3-3-5, then Ohio State's not the place for him. And that's not a knock against him as a player. That's not a knock against anybody. It's just saying that the Buckeyes traditionally ran a defense different than that. But there are guys, and Arvell Reese and C.J. Hicks, that benefit from having a mammoth human being like Kirkland right there in the middle of the defensive line. And speaking of the middle of the Buckeyes defensive line, I have one major concern about this group. I'll discuss it next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and the last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. The last-minute deals, you say? It's a great way for you to once again save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and other events near you. The all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see, y'all, it's what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONGOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you all for tapping the Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Well, adding Justin Kirkland would be a huge get for Ohio State and would help them be more multiple and shift some things while recruiting guys in high school. That's great. I hope it happens. I also hope my one concern does not come to be something that haunts Ohio State in the season. The Buckeyes, while they have lost their starting D-line from a year ago, they returned some guys that had a lot of production in backup roles last year in Caden Curry, Caden McDonald, Edric Houston, and Kenyatta Jackson Jr. Now, when we focus on McDonald and Houston, what do we see? Guys that were backups last year and throughout their entire Buckeyes careers, but they haven't been consistent starters. And after those two guys, there's even less experience, guys that really ain't played a whole lot of ball. And that inexperience concerns me in a big, big way. Ohio State has been trying to go out there and to pull a guy from the portal to come join Ohio State. And that's great. That's what you have to do. You have to be able to go out there and try your best to pull off all the stops. Not all of them, because you're not trying to throw $5 million at a D tackle right now to the portal. That would be foolish. But you're trying to do everything you can that's within reason to go out there and to pull a guy from the portal, because you need to. I would be very, very concerned if I were you, and I know I am right now, if Ohio State rolled into the season with these four guys as backup D tackles: Will Smith Jr., Jason Moore, Eric Mensah, and Tyrone Malone Jr. Now, the only thing that I think will be beneficial for these guys is if you transition to running more three-man fronts. McDonald, Houston, and Jackson Jr. could do that. Curry, McDonald, and Houston could do that. But if you run more three-man fronts, that kind of helps you with your D-line depth, where it's very inexperienced and it's very limited. You can even pull Houston out and leave McDonald in. You can leave Houston in, have a smaller nose tackle, and take McDonald out. But what are you going to find? You can do that and be okay. But Ohio State won't be okay if they roll into 2025 with those four guys as your backup D tackles. I think Jason Moore, and Tyrone Malone Jr., I think those are guys that should be players this year in backup roles. Very, very fortunate to have those two guys on the roster, but it should be their time to shine. At 100%, no questions asked, those guys can shine in a backup role. But what if they don't? Let's just get that out of the way really quickly. What if they don't? Then the depth that Ohio State saw a year ago, where you bring in McDonald or Houston or even Hero Canoe at times, you are 5 deep at D tackle. Well, if you're only 3 deep or 3.5 deep, well, it's a fourth player, but they're not giving you, they're not fitting that fourth player type of billing. That's a problem. You're going to have guys playing a whole lot of ball. You can't save the guy's body for the playoff push. And the next thing you know, you're probably going to make the playoff. And then, oh, wait, it's an early round exit. Why? Because Ohio State could not stop the battle in the trenches because the interior of the defensive line had to play way too much. And that's a massive concern, which also plays into why I think adding a guy like Kirkland is not only great for the future of Ohio State recruiting and shifting to a more of a three-man front to be more multiple, but it's also going to be great because you're bringing a guy in right now that can play. Now, here's the hiccup. As much as I like about Kirkland being a player, I don't know if you bring him in, what this is going to do to the roster. Because Kirkland is going to want to play. He's probably going to want to start. It's going to add more competition. It's going to be very, very intense in fall camp. I think Ryan Day is going to be very, very open about how intense and physical he wants fall camp to be. A big reason for that is not the same one it was during the spring. You play one of them teams week one. When I say one of them teams, I mean, you know, when you say somebody is him, well, Texas has a lot of guys that are him on that team. You're playing one of them teams to open the season. to test yourself and to show the country what you're made of. They're coming to your house, the shoe. Remember the last time they came to the shoe that was talking a whole bunch of mess, walked out there for some reason not wearing a t-shirt during pregame warmups when it was 20 degrees outside? What did you find? They got the doors blown off. Nico Iamaleava had to go to the sidelines because he broke his helmet. It was cracked because Cody Simon popped him. Dylan Sampson left the game because Lathan Ransom popped him. That's what happened. So the next time somebody's coming to Ohio State to play, it's going to be Texas. They're going to be running their mouth. They're going to want payback. They're going to have our training started at quarterback. So what do you need? Some beef up front. The benefit is, as concerning as this is, and maybe I'm getting a little more passionate about this, but it needs to be. We deliver that here every single day. The everydayers love the passion that you can find right here on this show. You have to add more guys on the D line. There's a benefit to playing defensive line that you don't really have at linebacker or corner or many other positions on a team. Your responsibilities don't really change. Now, the defense is going to change. The verbiage will change from team to team, and you have to figure out how the coaches communicate and how they push you and the little details that they want. You got to figure all that stuff out. Don't get me wrong. But if you're playing D-tackle, if a nose tackle at one school and a nose tackle at another school, the technique is the same. You're not really doing something a whole lot different from Alabama to Ohio State, from Ohio State to USC, from USC to Arkansas, from Arkansas to Clemson, from Clemson to Utah to Seattle. I won't say Washington, excuse me, but you get the gist. You're not doing something completely different. No, it's still football. It is still getting off the ball quickly, your hand placement, your pad level. That stuff is elementary. Now, coaches will focus on different things that will change the things you do on the field. That's never going to change. But if he comes in, Kirkland at this, let's keep that on subject. What will you find? What he's made of, but also you could just let him get out there on the field and play. I mean, his tape speaks for itself. While during this season, during his career, 80 tackles, 13 sacks, 13 TFLs, 3 sacks. He also added in, as I go back to a different screen, 3 pass breakups, one in 2022 as a freshman, a couple pass breakups in 2023 in his first year there at Oklahoma State. He's done a lot of things right. And you want a disruptor on the front, not just a mammoth human being in the interior if you're running a 3-man front. You want a disruptor, someone that's a little athletic, a little agile on his feet. Kirkland can be that guy. He fits what you want. You want an interior force from the portal? Kirkland can be the guy, and he can help ease my concern with the lack of experience on the Buckeyes D-line, interior of the D-line right now. That's a lack of experience. That's the concern I have. There aren't concerns that NFL coaches and executives have in regards to Ohio State players because of some things they've done during their Buckeye careers. We'll discuss those next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Once again, guys, don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Prematurely hit that there on the ad break. Forgive me for getting a little jumpy. But I'm really excited about some things that one NFL coach and then some executives said about Ohio State players. And once again, thank you all for tapping the Locked On Buckeyes and making the show your first listen of the day. the everydayers around here have been used to a lot of draft coverage and really hyping up guys heading into the draft and getting a look at the very next year. But the everydayers really haven't got the sense about what NFL teams say about players after they're drafted. From Denzel Burke to TreVeyon Henderson to Emeka Egbuka, those are just 3 of the 14 players that were drafted from Ohio State in this year's draft. And those 3 guys got some high praise thrown at them. One of them was from an executive that didn't draft this particular Ohio State player. Very interesting, right? This one NFL executive is Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, who ended up drafting Jalen Tuimoloau in the second round. But Chris Ballard spoke on TreVeyon Henderson, who went to the Colts' rival in the Patriots. He talked about how Henderson may have been the best pass-protecting running back he has ever seen it as a prospect. And we have sat here over the past few months literally oohing and eyeing at Henderson as a pass protector. But knowing how respected Chris Ballard is as an NFL GM and how long he has been at this thing, analyzing prospects and trying to make sure he figures out who the right guys are for the teams he's working for at the particular time, getting this type of high praise is huge, especially when it's coming from a guy you didn't draft. Now, even though it's a Colts rival, Chris Ballard has done visits with the enemy, so it wouldn't shock me if at some point in time the Colts and Patriots do business. If TreVeyon Henderson came to Indianapolis to be paired with Jonathan Taylor, y'all better watch out. Now, I'm a Colts fan, so I'm a little excited about that potentially happening, but y'all better watch out because trust you me. My goodness, this would be so much fun to watch. One of the best running backs in the league with a guy that's more of a, I won't say Swiss Army knife, but more of a slot or an H-back than your traditional running back. Pairing them together would be so much fun to watch. But also, Denzel Burke was another Buckeye that got some high praise. This one came from the Cardinals GM, that was talking about how Denzel Burke was as a player and why the GM is so comfortable drafting Ohio State players like Paris Johnson Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. I want to say Cody Simon was drafted by the Cardinals too. They're comfortable and they like Ohio State players, not just because they come from a winning program, but because of the culture Ryan Day has created at Ohio State. It's a very professional program. These guys are getting the best of the best in the country. The competition they're getting every single week is some of the best you can get. But also in practice is one of the things that stuck out in my head while he was talking about Denzel Burke. He said Denzel Burke had better reps in practice, got better competition in practice than he had on a Saturday. Because you're going up against, think about it. In the 4 years from 2021 until 2024, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. That's who Denzel Burke was going up against. There weren't any schools out there that had a trio of Smith, Ennis, and Egbuka out there at all. Nobody did. So while Denzel Burke did have some hiccups and some mental blunders in the season, what did he have in practice? The ability to go up against the best of the country to right his wrongs. Now, he drastically fell in the draft because there was a time that this man was a first-round pick. But what happened? He didn't play the best ball and he fell. And while that happened, NFL GMs are still loving what he's doing, what he is as a player, and believe that he's going to bounce back and be a great pro in the future. That's not all, man. Like, Henderson got some praise and Burke had some praise. Emeka Egbuka did as well. This one is the one that stuck out of my head from Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Buccaneers. And he described Emeka Egbuka as the, quote, total package, unquote. Excuse me. Describing this young man as the, quote, total package, end quote, is huge. Because I was on a podcast recently, The Morning Brew with Stu, and Stu and I have done a lot of shows over the past few years. And Stu made a comment about Emeka Egbuka saying that he didn't understand why he was not the consensus number one overall draft pick. And I said, honestly, if Travis Hunter wasn't a two-way player, I don't think people would think Travis Hunter would be the number one receiver in some people's books. I don't think so at all. I think, yeah, he has better straight line speed, but Egbuka is still running a 4.4? Is that slow? No, not at all. Does it hurt him coming in and out of his breaks? No. Is he a better overall route runner? Yes. Does he have better hands? Yes. Does he track the ball better? Yes. I mean, what does he do well? Everything. What does he do bad? Nothing. Watch the film. That was different for you and I because we don't have to go back and watch the film after the game was played. We're literally watching the game. So we have a different eye and a different way to analyze Emeka Egbuka. If we take our scarlet and gray lenses off, we would look at Emeka Egbuka and say, that's a dude. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's a dude. And for the coach that drafted Emeka Egbuka to say he is the, quote, total package, end quote, that speaks volumes, not only about Emeka Egbuka, but about Ohio State. When you have a DB, a running back, and a receiver receiving praise like this, and while the DB is receiving praise, it's also a team that drafted another Buckeye, and has two other Buckeyes, at least two more on the roster. I don't know the Cardinals' entire roster, so forgive me if there are more that escape my mind right now. That's huge, man. And Ryan Day has so many added tools he can use right now on the recruiting trail, just like the other coaches do. You hear what Todd Bowles said? You hear what Chris Ballard said? You hear what this GM said about Ohio State? You see we're going out there and trying to get different guys in the portal that are quality athletes to help us boost our attempt to run it back in 2025. You see all this stuff? You see Lachlan, how he's able to do what he's doing and push these running backs and kind of be that uncle that you love but also kind of hate because he's always trying to make sure you stand on the straight and narrow. And I'm not trying to get preached like I'm in church, but he's trying to keep your mind right, keep you on the right path and not allow you to go to the right or to the left to where you're going with this guy or that person. Next thing you know, you're in a world of mess. You don't want that. So what does Lachlan do? He coaches you hard, but as Sam Williams-Dixon documented when he came back to Ohio State, they're now having the man-to-man conversations. Not only does Lachlan have to do that, every coach does. And while having those man-to-man conversations, you get guys that lead the program like Burke and Henderson and Egbuka that are viewed in such a high way because they're great human beings, they're great people, but also because they're products of the Ohio State University. Ryan Day's done a lot of things well. He's pushed a lot of the right buttons. And this is a testament to Ryan Day because these aren't Urban guys. Urban's guys are gone. These are Day's guys. And Day's guys are leaving as draft picks, as great players, but also as great humans. You can't complain about that. You want guys that are great on the field. You also want guys that are even better off. And I guarantee you can say that about Burke, Henderson, and Egbuka because they're great players on the field. They're even better people off the field. Thank y'all for tapping on Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, make sure you check out the Portal Show with my guy, Brian Smith. You can be the most informed fan out there with the rapid changes to college football, the landscape, with the rumors going around the sport, the portal entries and the signings. And Brian Smith will keep you covered on everything going on in college football. You can find the Portal and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to your fine podcasts. You can follow me on social media on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send to every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.